Athletes, welcome back. We're changing it up on you a little bit, and we are starting a how-to series to answer questions or just give you some points of performance on movements that you may have questions about. Athletes, welcome back. Today, we have a special treat for you because not only do we have pull-ups, but we've got the one and only Ben Davidson, who has graciously volunteered his extremely busy athlete schedule to be here and help you guys out with learning how to do pull-ups. So Ben, welcome. Do you have anything for the people at home?
Honor and privilege.
Thank you. Spoken like a true athlete and champion. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get straight into pull-ups for today. Now what we have is that we're gonna go over strict pull-ups. We're gonna talk about your athletic grip or your gymnastic grip form that you can use on this and what Ben prefers. And then we'll finish out with kipping pull-ups. So the first thing is that Ben, if you see on his hands, he's got his gymnastics grips here. You can find many brands. A lot of times, I personally use Bear Complex. I like those a lot. You'll find something that works for you. Make sure that you chalk those grips up when they're brand new because you may think as is, it's good out of the bag, but I'm telling you, those things soak up soak up chalk like no other. So make sure you chalk the grip as well as your hand. Now, Ben has his fingers through the holes on this. And when we start out with the strict pull-ups, you're gonna see him create a dowel with this. So a dowel means that when he gets on the bar, he's gonna create a fold that's gonna give him an extra layer of support. If he gets to the bar, and he shows us what that looks like when he gets onto the bar, you'll see that he has that folded over piece underneath his fingers so that way he's got that extra piece. If you look at traditional, you can drop. If you look at traditional gymnastics grips, they actually have a physical dowel that's in there that allows for that. Now, Ben prefers to do this on his strict pull-ups and ring muscle-ups. When he's doing kipping pull-ups or butterfly pull-ups, he prefers what we call the flap method. Now, the flap method is something that you've seen athletes do in semifinals, in quarterfinals, and at the games, and it's not always talked about, so we wanna make sure that you know exactly what's going on so you can utilize that as well. So for the flap method, what happens is that fingers are out of the holes. And what Ben's gonna do is that he's gonna get up on the bar. And what he's doing is that he's using pressure from his fingers onto the grip so that now the majority of his body weight is on the wrist strap of that grip. Go ahead and drop. When we go down through that, you're gonna find that you're not necessarily gonna have complete contact with your hand in the bar here. You're gonna be pressing down through those fingers, and that's what provides the tension so that now our weight is being supported through the wrist. This can be a little bit uncomfortable. You will find that your hands may get the tingles sometimes when you do this because if your grips are too tight, then you can cut off circulation with this method. So please make sure you're adjusting and being safe as you're going through this. I personally use the flap method a lot just because I do enjoy that. We do always like to exercise safety and precaution when we do this and say, if you feel that grip starting to move on you, the best possible thing is to come down from the bar. Now, there are ways that you can re-grip, and I'm actually gonna show Ben re-grip on some of his kipping pull-ups in a little bit so you can see how to do that. But if you feel that grip start to slip, it's better to come down than to fall off the bar. So please always exercise the utmost caution when you guys are performing any type of gymnastics movement or any exercise in general. So we're gonna start out with our strict pull-up. So for our strict pull-up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have Ben just show us 3 strict pull-ups. Now with these, he's gonna create global tension through his body, so pointing his toes and legs together, and then he's gonna go ahead and pull up, chin over the bar, and then back down. He'll go back up, and then one more, and relax. Now, when Ben goes through this, you notice that he's keeping those legs slightly in front of his body, which keeps him balanced. If he goes up in a very lazy position, and he has those legs like this, and he's struggling to pull himself up, that's not going to apply to our kipping pull-ups, which is what we're doing. Now, I do always like to take a moment when I'm coaching pull-ups to say a pull-up and a kipping pull-up are 2 different ways to cover the same range of motion. I can't compare a kipping pull-up to a pull-up in terms of rep for rep because it's like comparing a strict press versus a push press. We have to find a way to be more efficient, and so that kipping pull-up allows us to be more efficient and expend less energy and muscle fatigue than when we're doing the strict reps. So if you have somebody that argues with you that kipping pull-ups aren't real pull-ups, they are a version of pull-ups that allows you to accomplish the work of getting your chin over the bar. And in CrossFit, when we have a ton of reps and we have to have a fast cycle time, that kipping pull-up is more efficient than trying to do a lot of strict reps. Now, when Ben was going up, the other thing that he was doing is that he begins the movement by engaging in his shoulder girdle. So he has that nice little scap pull-up. Go ahead and show us 2 to 3 scap pull-ups, Ben. So this is just a retraction and back down and back up of those shoulder blades, back down, and one more, and relax. Following that scap pull-up, he will continue the pull with his arms. So he's gonna show us 2 more strict pull-ups so that you guys can see what that looks like. He engages in the shoulder girdle and then follows through with his arms. And Ben is showing off for us to be a good model by pausing at the top. You don't have to pause at the top of your reps, but with that, that shows the amount of control that he has through the movement. If you go up and you're in that lazy position, you'll find you start to get this out of control swing. Now, if you're working on pull-ups, and this is something you're looking at Ben and you're like, I'm never gonna be able to do that, I would beg to differ, and I think that you've got a really, really good shot of doing strict pull-ups on your own. We have a couple options. The first one would be doing ring rows or putting a rack bar on the rig and doing a body weight row, because any type of pulling that we can do with our upper body is gonna strengthen this movement. The next type that we can do is that we can use a band across the rig. So if we take Ben over here, what he's gonna do is he's got this band that's across the rig. He's gonna step on the band. And just like a machine where you would do a weight select at your regular Globo gym, we can keep track of where we attach this band on the rig by recording the number and the size of band. I always like to start this out with wherever we're at with feet together. And the reason is that the wider that Ben spreads his feet, the more assistance he gets. So if he starts this out today with super wide legs and does pull-ups, and he comes back next time and he's got his legs in and he's like, this is way harder, it's because you are applying more tension to the band here and getting more assistance. So with Ben in this position, he's gonna go ahead and show us a couple reps here. He's gonna go up and then back down and up and back down and relax. Now you notice that compared to what we were doing here, he's unable to keep his legs forward in this position, which is okay, but he's engaging his core as he goes through, and that's what we wanna think about. Before we go into that pull, tighten up your core, tighten up your abs, go into your pull, and then back down. And as always, if you've done classes with this before, you know that I talk about how important breathing is. You always want to take in a nice deep breath at the bottom of your pull-up, breathe out on the hard part, which is the pull, and then you can breathe in as you're opening back up. Now, if I don't have a band or if the band's too difficult, Ben can come over and we can use a box. Now you're gonna look at this and you're gonna think that this is a joke, and I promise you it is not, but I'm gonna have Ben go ahead and step up on this box, and we'll actually put it down to a 20-inch for him. So go ahead and step up for me. So from here, what Ben can do, and this is our most basic version of a pull-up, he can bend his legs. He's gonna go down to full extension in his arms. And then what he's gonna do is that he's gonna pull up and then back down. And with that, you can see he gets a little bit of hang time so that he's off the box. He's gonna go back up and back down. Now relax. What we can introduce here is that Ben can go up, and I'm gonna challenge him by having him do the slowest negative that he can with a max of 5 seconds. So we're gonna go back up, we're gonna pull ourselves up. He's already got a smile on his face because he knows that he's gonna love this one. He's gonna go back up, and then he's coming down, 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 and relax. Now, for this, we can modify this by shifting Ben over so we only have 1 foot on the box, and now we're getting less assistance from our lower body. He's gonna pull up, and then we can add the negative in there, or we can just do a normal speed pull-up. Go ahead and relax. That's gonna cover it for our strict pull-ups, but you have tons of variations. You are, and I don't wanna give you a percentage without looking, because I hate making up percentages, because 70% of all percentages are made up on the spot. But when Ben is going through this, working the eccentric or that elongation portion, we're typically stronger than we are when we're in the concentric, which is that contraction phase. So what we're doing there is that we're having Ben work the stronger portion of the movement, which is going to go into both movements of your eccentric and concentric. So negatives are always a great thing to put in, but you got to make sure we're reinforcing that good form. Now, that covers it for strict pull-ups. We're going to get into our kipping pull-ups now. So kipping pull-ups are one of these things. We're going to leave the box here because we actually might use it in a minute. But what I'm gonna have Ben do is that he's gonna get up on that bar and he's gonna just give us a couple of kipping pull-ups. I want 3 total. I want you to notice his positioning he maintains while he's up in the air, keeping those feet forward, and then he comes through on his swing, fantastic, and relax. Now, if you are mystified by the kipping pull-up and you have no idea how this is supposed to work, the majority of the momentum is coming from your hips. So Ben has a very quiet kip is what I call it. He's very efficient at this movement, and he's pretty strong upper body, so he could go through a strict kipping pull-up if I asked him to. I'm not gonna do it this morning, but what we're looking at is that you see that Ben passes through this arch position, and then as he comes back through, he loads these legs up, or these hips up ever so slightly, and then he opens his hips to provide that thrust up to the bar. So we're receiving assistance from the legs so that when we're in this back position, and we call this a chair position in gymnastics, you see the same thing in ring muscle ups or bar muscle ups, he opens his hips, and then that provides that thrust to get him to the bar, and then he comes back down. Now, when Ben was at the top of the bar, that same position that we reinforced in our strict pull-ups of keeping those legs nice and long and straight and slightly in front of us was the same position he had at the top. Show us one more and look specifically at his feet where they're at when he's at the top of the bar. Right there, and he maintains that and relax. Now, if Ben was to go up and do a kipping pull-up and he gets to the bar but his legs are behind him, he's gonna fall out of rhythm. And so when we're going on to our kipping pull-up, you're making a C with the path of where your body is moving or your head is moving. And what that means is that if I took a marker and I stuck it in Ben's ear, and then I took a piece of paper and I held it here, as Ben goes through his swing and then he comes back up, he's making a C. He's always gonna make that C because he swings through to get his momentum, he comes back to get over the bar, he has to push away from the bar at the top to go back into that range of motion that allows him to get into his arch position and continue that momentum and also maintain that timing for the movement. A lot of times if you're struggling with a kipping pull-up, you're making a backwards D, and that backwards D means that you've got that first part of the C, but then you just fall straight down. And so that gives you that backwards D that you gotta restart the kip every single time or you get off on your timing. Now, for our kipping pull-up, the kipping pull-up can extend to a kipping chest to bar, which Ben can show us, and you're gonna see a little bit more hip action from Ben to get his chest up to the bar. So we'll just do 3 chest to bar, kipping chest to bar. So we see that extension of the hips as he goes up and relax, and that is it. He makes it look way too easy. Now, for our kipping pull-ups, if this is something you're trying to practice and it's just difficult for you to find that pattern or that movement that we need to get into to make the C, we can go back to our trusty box and we can use this to put one leg on this box, and now Ben can practice going through the kip swing and then coming up and then going back through. Now with this, I'm gonna move it up for him, so let me move you up to a 24-inch box, Ben. So ideally, when we're learning this position, we wanna have a box that Ben can keep his leg on the entire time as we go through our positions. So he's gonna swing through, swing up, and then back down. And I want him to push away at the top. There we go, and that's the exact same pattern that we'll see as we go through that kipping and relax. So that pretty much covers it for our strict pull-up, our kipping pull-up. If you guys wanna see anything else, let me know. I'm sure we'll do butterfly at some point, but we gotta give you the basics. If your kipping pull-ups and your strict pull-ups don't look like Ben's, he's not bragging on showing you this form, I want you guys to go back and work on your fundamentals. Before we even get into butterfly pull-ups, you have to have great form on your strict pull-ups and your kipping pull-ups, but because we wanna keep your shoulders safe, and if we are not keeping those shoulders safe, then that's where we're gonna get injured, and then that's where we're not gonna be able to work out, and then we're gonna feel bad because we missed that day's workout or we cherry picked the workouts that don't have pull-ups in it. And before I close out, there's one more thing, because I always have so much information I wanna give you guys. For our kip, that kip has to be a nice controlled position. So what we saw from Ben is he was doing a great job with that, but if we go specifically to our kip and he gives me that arch and hollow while he's on the bar, just hop up underneath the bar. We start this from a dead hang position, so no movement at all. Ben's gonna start the movement through his shoulders. He's gonna come out and back, maintaining that global tension. And anytime I say stop, he can stop that movement, drop. If you were doing any movement on the pull-up bar, whether it's pull-ups, toes to bar, whatever it could be, and you get that out of control 5-year-old jungle gym swing where you don't know what you're doing and other people are passing you on reps, just drop the bar and reset. It's wasting your grip and it's gonna waste your energy to try to get that under control when you could easily drop and then hop back up on the bar. So that is the final on our pull-ups. We thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for Ben. Any parting words for our athletes at home, Ben?
Good luck.
I love it. Spoken like a true, I'm motivated now. I'm gonna go work on my strict pull-up. So athletes, thank you so much. As always, be good, be kind, and join us again for another great day of exercise videos.